Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming. We got a tough question for you today. With the upcoming console generation set to relieve the PS4 and Xbox One of duty, can't help but wonder here, how much will my dang video games cost? It's an age-old topic that comes up every time the industry prepares to leap forward to another generation. And by looking at the numbers, a $70 price tag for next-gen games is not an entirely wide conclusion to jump to here. It connects to a deeper, fundamental question which I've never seen summed up better than in this MSNBC article about the end of the $49.99 game, which opens with the question, what price happiness? What price indeed, Tom Loftus? And we've seen a consistent price of happiness, or games, over the past decade, which has us wondering, are we really overdue for a price increase? We're going to be talking a lot about dollar values and inflation and MSRP, which may get a bit dry, so we'll be interspersing this video with clips of dogs eating food they're not supposed to. Come on, get down from there, you little scamp. You really shouldn't be up there. Considering this question has come up before, it made sense to look into our collective gaming past and glean what we could from reporters and games journalists long dead. What? They're alive? Oh, you're saying it actually wasn't that long ago? Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't that long ago. Okay, yeah. No, I got it. So the price point for a AAA game in America hasn't changed since 2006. The year the costs of the Xbox 360 and PS2 games jumped $10 up to the $60 we know and love today. Then in 2013, when the next consoles were announced, many braced for an adjusted $70 price point, but such a change never came, and the price remained at $60. However, the price staying the same was actually in keeping with the norm from decades of game sales. Keep in mind, these numbers are specific to America. In other countries like Norway and Australia, games are comparatively more expensive, and we're very sorry about that. We hear you guys complaining about it sucks, but hey man, if I could control the world, things would be a lot different. Honestly, gaming has never been the cheapest hobby, but it's difficult to look at some retro classics and imagine those to be costly. I mean, they're just stupid little bleepy bloops. You can beat it in like 2 hours, who cares? But in fact, they were. NES games cost $50 at the time, which, when adjusted for today's inflation rate, equates to just over 100 bones American. Imagine paying that amount of money for a garbage, like you put it in and you start it and it's trash right away. You have to remember those chunky pixels were groundbreaking for the time, and groundbreaking costs money. By the time 2006 rolled around, the price point was the same on the surface, but games were getting more and more expensive to make. When the price shift did finally happen, it felt necessary and maybe even overdue. 2006 could very well have set a precedent that game prices would rise to meet the cost of production. So why didn't the industry follow its own lead again in 2013? After all, adjusted for inflation, $60 in 2006 roughly equaled $70 in 2013. It would be difficult to fault companies for keeping with the times, and yet they stayed at $60. Well, powerful market forces were already at work in 2013, and we can assume those higher-ups in their ivory towers could see change a-comin'. You may remember, dear gamer, that in 2013 we were on the cusp of a significant games-as-service push. Destiny 1 was fast incoming, touting its ambitious 10-year plan. Overwatch was in early development, and by that time Fortnite was in the process of transitioning to a games-as-service model. Now, instead of making all their money at once, developers were making games and developing content plans to create steady revenue streams that could sustain the studios. As the trend continued, the initial buy-in price of the game has become less relevant, as evidenced by the free-to-play game Fortnite. If you have any doubts of the kind of money Epic Games is pulling in, I refer you to day one of E3 2018, on which the company rented out 2 stadiums to hang out with Marshmallow. So the concept of season passes and lengthy content release maps were already working their way into the mainstream, changing the way games make money. Hey buddy, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. Oh man, mom's like, oh my god, the dog can't eat that. Anyway, the games as service trend has solidified, and game makers now have to compete with free-to-play games more than ever, and requiring $60 up front already puts them at a significant disadvantage. In this climate, it's difficult to imagine console makers pushing away audiences even further with a price hike, especially during a transition to a new console generation. In fact, we're starting to see movement in the opposite direction if Destiny 2 is any signifier. Bungie recently announced the base game, which previously retailed at $60, would be going full free-to-play in September. So, if a $60 price tag starts to go out of style, how will publishers pay for non-service games? I'm glad you asked. As you can imagine, game companies have had some time to figure this out. The answer? Subscription services, hooray! Now instead of paying a flat fee to just get access to a game's base content, you'll pay for a dozen specialized boutique streaming services that will continue to splinter off until you wish you could just give someone $70 for a whole ass game. And it's already been happening for a few years now. Some began dipping their toes in the water a couple of years ago when they created their PlayStation Now service as a band-aid solution to backwards compatibility, providing a platform for a number of older games. Then, Microsoft's service, Xbox Game Pass, took the formula a step further and began releasing first-party titles on day one with no additional cost. You know, it's free, as long as you pay for it. Games like Forza Horizon 4, Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, as well as the upcoming Gears 5 and Halo Infinite are available for immediate download and play for any jamoke with a Game Pass subscription. These are big titles, especially for the Xbox, a console that's maybe not the best in terms of console exclusives. And yet here they are, foregoing the initial $60 buy-in in favor of an ongoing charge. And so far, it's been working. The inclusion of Microsoft Studios titles was detailed in an Xbox blog post from Phil Spencer on January 23rd, 2018. Towards the end, Spencer wrote, quote, "We've only scratched the surface of the opportunity this new model brings to the industry and what we can deliver to our fans." It's exactly the kind of marketing speak you'd expect in a press release from a ginormous tech company, but the statement has aged exceedingly well. Almost exactly a year later, on January 30th, 2019, Microsoft posted quarterly earnings and disclosed that their gaming revenue was up 8% from the same period last year. And that included all their gaming revenue. Concerning specifically software sales and services, revenues were up a hefty 31%. Granted, there are all number of factors responsible for this kind of increase, and the numbers are provided by Microsoft, so, grains of salt, etc. The point is that Xbox strategies have been paying off, Game Pass among them. Ice cream? For a dog? Get out of town! Oh, wow, she's so upset. And we're expecting to see Sony develop PlayStation Now even further, moving into the next console generation, considering they just started adding PS4 games, accompanied by Xbox's Project X Cloud, and of course Google Stadia, which will also offer a library of games for $9.99 a month. Stadia will still operate in both business models, also offering a free tier called Stadia Base, in which you can still buy your games and just play them through the service. We don't know what they'll cost, but it's safe to assume we'll still see that familiar $60 price tag. And the splintering has already started. Just like Netflix opening the door for a million other services, Ubisoft just announced Uplay Plus for PC. For $14.99, you get access to over 100 titles. And EA already has Origins Access Premier for the same monthly price, or a flat yearly rate of $99.99. How long until Steam throws its hat in the ring? It's hard to say, they do love their free money. While we've been worrying whether or not games truly cost $60 anymore, the economic powers that be have been quietly pushing us towards these subscription services, making them appear cheaper and more convenient than one-time purchases. So now, instead of buying one game at a time, gamers have a library of hundreds of games at their fingertips for one low monthly cost. But is it low? Let's do some cursory math and see how all this works out. There are going to be some rough numbers mixed in with heavy speculation, so keep that in mind. Let's say the average gamer buys, 6 AAA games a year for $60 each. Yeah, this ignores sales and cheaper indie titles, but let's just assume that, those even each other out for the sake of keeping things simple. That's $360 over the course of a year. However, a year subscription to Game Pass is just $120. Not too bad, you end up saving $240, but for however good the Game Pass library is, it is still limited, so maybe you add Uplay Plus for another $180? No big deal, right? You're still saving $60 in theory, but that's right. What kind of gamer would you be if you didn't have a Google Stadia Pro subscription? Great, well, let's toss another $120 on the pile and, now we're at $420, nice, which, although is very cool, is more than $360. Yeah, whatever, we're ballparking it here. And, you can add EA Origins Access Premier. Jesus, that name. There's another 100. If you want all these services, it's already $520 annually, and that doesn't even take into account the console exclusives for Sony, Nintendo, and the cost of online memberships like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold. Plus, DLC and microtransactions are far too healthy of a revenue stream for most publishers to abandon. This means that even after paying repeated monthly premiums to play the games, expansions and loot boxes will still very much be a part of the system. I know I've already bought expansions to base games I don't actually own, and then it gets really weird. But what about the streaming revolution? The cloud was supposed to fix all of our problems, right? By paying for services only when you actually want them, you could probably shave off a couple bucks, but let's be honest. These services are designed to quietly renew in the background until you get so used to paying for them, you don't even notice anymore. Our guess is through a combination combination of paying for a couple of services and still paying up front for other games, you'll probably end up spending close to the same amount you already are, just in different ways. Most folks won't subscribe to every single service, similar to how you'll be hard-pressed to find someone who pays for every video streaming service. However, just as in movies, television, and music, the notion of paying only for the products you want is on its way out. It won't go away, but anticipating a simple market shift of $10 just isn't really realistic anymore. So the price tag probably won't change, to return to our original point, but the way games themselves are sold will, and you'll have to get ready for that. Do a little mental adjusting before all the companies get in, get you subscribed for something, and before you know it, your credit card has a massive debt on it. Can't say what the future looks like, but the one thing I can say for sure is, oh, that little dude is just living. Oh my God, every dog has his day, and today he said, don't mind if I do. Hey-o! Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on Inside Gaming. Bye, everybody.
That's really powerful.
That's awesome.
It's actually so powerful that the second you turn it on, it will create a gaming singularity inside of your very living room.
That's right, the intense gamer gravity will shred off all of your clothes and suck you naked into the gaming dimension. When you wake up, there's someone there waiting. He offers you a green robot glove to help you up.
That's right, it's Master Chief.